Yo, and we're back with Sentai Wrap Up. Thank God we finally returned. How are we all doing today? Once again, it's Henshin here, sorting out everything that's awesome and epic in Super Sentai. And with me, as always, good friend Heirloom Mark. What's up, Mark?
Hello, I'm okay. How are you today? What have you been up to?
Oh, the same as usual. Got a bit of a cold coming, unfortunately.
I can hear it in
Found
your
out
voice.
I got a baby on the way. Found out what it is today, last week, sorry, which was a girl. So I'm thrilled
Oh,
about that.
congratulations.
Got a little daughter. But yeah, let's cut on to the chase then and get on to everything that is Super Sentai today. So
That
our main subject today is obviously talking about what attracted us to Super Sentai. However, generally, we're gonna first go over the latest announcements of Super Sentai and Zenkaiger
oh,
that have been announced on the site on websites. So,
oh, it's been quite a bit. It's been quite a bit, my friend.
yeah, okay. Would you like to start us off, Mark?
So we've had a new power-up confirmed. We have had the fact that Kaiser and Zenkaiger are getting Megazord forms. One
Aye.
one with Zenkaiger. Um, Zenkaiger is getting the Dragon Zord, or is it Caesar? Battle Caesar? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
It's
So
basically
Dragon
it's the
Caesar
Dragon.
is generally what the thing is called. Dragon Sword, as we know it, because it's from MMPR.
Mm.
Obviously Zero Ranger. And then following that, we've also got our V-Rex or Quantosaurus Rex from Time Force, being used as a power up for Two Kaiser. So
Yes.
yeah,
So
what did you
it's
think of these particular like new announcements?
I really like them. Like this is what the show needs. I swear to God, it but not better be boring. Like this is the best excitement that we get so far, and then all of a sudden, it's it's gone back to what it's like now. Um,
Mm.
so I was excited. I really like the toy, which I have already pre-ordered. I just like the head of the Dragon Zord or of Caesar. It looks really cool. Dragon Caesar. There we go. It just looks really good. There's quite a few things like the morpher needs to be open, so the wheel, the see-through stuff has to be open, which I understand because it just clocks. Very interesting to see how it works and how they're going to transform. That's what I want to know. But when will we see it? When will it debut? That's the question.
That is the question. At first, when I first saw it, I thought it was gonna be like a movie exclusive because of the fact that we've already got Zuranger being represented through Zuran.
Mm,
So I thought that was a bit odd how we've got that sort of thing. But it is a sick Ranger thing, so I think they could kind of get away with it in that way.
yeah,
Let's have actually have a look at it. So yeah, we got some images here of it. Bit obviously difficult to see at the moment, but you can see quite a lot of what's going on in this particular you know, you know, rendition of it all.
which picture is it that
But
you're
this
looking at?
is this is specifically to do with Kaito's power up, which allows him to become Zenkaiser in Battle Caesar form, is what I like to call
Yeah.
it. But yeah, we can see actually the change that it makes to the changer itself. So the power, the how how it attaches on. We see the full sort of like attire that Zenkaiser actually gets with this dragon form, and I love the weapon. The weapon's one of the best things about it.
It does
What do you
look
think of this, Mark?
right. Let me load up that picture. I was looking at a completely different one. It's the one with the tail. Okay,
Yes.
so I think it looks really cool. I actually hadn't had a look at this thing because I noticed Flint's there, McGill's there, so we're okay. It looks fine. Like I love the way that it kind of looks like something from. Oh, it's because it's got the three combined Megazords, so it looks like something from Abaranger, where you had the kind of on the morpher, like the kind of head.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, and you can see that for it to walk, it kind of like goes down. So I think that looks absolutely fancy. But it also looks like he's going to be quick as well, so it's not going to be heavily fortified. So
Yeah.
I really can't wait to see it. That's what I need to
Now,
see it now.
now, is there any chance that you think that this particular form was influenced by dragon armor Trini from
No,
the comics,
I don't.
because it has that look, doesn't it? I
It,
mean, I can't be the only one that sees it. If it was someone online that actually pointed it out to me, and I was thinking, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that actually caused that. I love how I wasn't actually trying to figure out
mm,
what the gear kind of looked like when it was attached. I couldn't envision it.
mm,
Obviously, because it's at the top, so it makes more sense. But looking at it, it does kind of look like they had the idea to sort of make it similar to Gabutira when he turns into the Morphosize
mm,
for the Carnivore power up.
yeah.
That's obviously Q Ranger, but
Mm,
sorry, Kyuuja.
yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
I can kind of see what you mean. Like, I kind of see it, influenced by the comics. But I don't know if they looked at the comics because not unless they were heavily reading them. Because the first thing that I kind of saw was that it was just modeled after battle mode for Dragon Zord. Um,
sorry guys,
that's yeah.
might have.
I'm going to call it Dragon Zord because that's what I know it as. So I generally kind of thought of that's what it's going to be all the way through.
Mm.
So it's something different.
Yeah,
But
sorry about the flicking of the images, people. I was trying to look at the images myself, the same as Heirloom, and I ended up losing it. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's a really good design though. It generally is. What do you think of Tukai's power up form?
let's go have a look at two Kaiser. So we've only got one shot in this one.
Yeah,
So
it's like it's so many, yeah, so many different images, and I thought I put my own images in here, but they seem to have disappeared. But never mind.
okay, so which one were you going on? That's all the gears. Okay, so I kind of like it, but it doesn't scream it. Now it looks like something else on the battle chest, like maybe like the carnival mode from Dino Charge version. I can't remember the Sentai name, but that's what it kind of
Mm.
reminds me of a lot more. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think where the Jew Ranger one's completely different, where this one is, it's going to show that kind of thing.
yeah,
So it wouldn't surprise me if they went down the carnival road. But the thing is, the gear power up thing just looks like a rat now. it
yeah.
just looks like a small rat. Like, I don't know.
It does look. I do like how they've made it kind of like it's something that could you can imagine walking on its own,
Yeah.
and then obviously combine onto the thing, and it's got that dragon Caesar head. It just looks perfect, and it manages to keep the gear part in it.
Mm.
It's not really neglecting the design that originally made.
I think
It's a really nice design.
it kind of reminds me of the Terramigo a little bit.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Tiramigo. Yeah, I don't know. It's not Gabutira, is it? No, I probably think of something else.
No, it's a mixture
No,
between.
Gabutira because he's from um
Mm,
like I think I know what you mean because that's from Roof Soldier, whereas I'm thinking of more Kyoryuja because of the carnival thing
yeah.
that you can see from influenced, and also the actual I expect this one to walk on its own and then it turns into a gear and then it becomes
Mm,
whatever it needs to be.
yeah.
But yeah,
I'm.
I
I'm.
do think this is going to be a pretty good, interesting combination. Do you think this particular form is going to combine the other four?
No, because they've shown the fact that Kaito's able to grow and join the others. But if you notice, and one thing that I'm a bit disappointed at is you think that with that powered up mode, um, Zox or Two Kaiser would have had the different number on his helmet. And
Yes, I was thinking that. I was just trying to look closely in if and to see if it was actually or what number are they again?
yeah, it's so okay. So we're on another one, but yeah, it looks like it's like it should have gone to like what the other one was. Um,
Mm,
so I think that would be a thing. Now,
yeah.
yeah, I reckon because you see this like with that he's grown big, so that's going to be his mode. So that's going to be interesting. Oh no, because yeah, he doesn't need to be inside to control them. He can just literally like activates the gear. But I think
Yeah.
that they wouldn't have put it in with the giant mech monster if I mean, this could have been just like a yay, this is I'm with my friends, yay. But this is actually I'm taking down a monster. So it'll be very interesting to see. I reckon they'll go like, Kaito's grown. Oh no. And it'll be like, yay. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I think the most brilliant concept about this is that Kaiser is now doing the same as his brothers and shrinking down into an SD-topia form.
Mm,
Um, and then it's that allows Kaito and Kaiser to combine to form their version
mm.
of V-Rex. What did you think of this concept, Erlen?
Have we changed pictures? Um,
Yes.
okay.
You
I don't know which one we're on. Um,
know the proper picture of showing all of the V-Rex mode.
V-Rex. Okay, right. Okay, yeah, so you got the little boy. I think that's a cool continuation to not to be like, oh, we're going to change it halfway through. So
Mm.
I think what you're going to get is that'll be like the combination for all of them, and then obviously it will split into a thing. I reckon you won't see all this straight away. I think that it'll be over like maybe 3 episodes. So if they do it, I'll be okay. But yeah, like they've got
Yeah.
a little SD guy. Can you? I wonder who that's going to be. Like if it's going to be a friend or
Oh
I
no, it's
just
quite from what the this particular image is showing. It's showing two Kaiser with his armor form, and it's pointing an arrow directly to the well, sorry, that way should I say? It's
yeah.
pointing an arrow directly to SD, the SD Topia form of that. So I'm guessing that is actually him, because when you think about it, his brothers already are that form, and I can imagine this being something that he ends up gaining to sort of follow his brothers in a way, like it's like a conquering of an illness.
Mm,
Like you can use the illness to your advantage, and that's what Tsukai's able to do now.
that'd be
So this
weird.
might be one of those things where we find out where SD World is, and as a result of that, we get this form.
It's so weird if they do that. Like I would imagine it being someone else, but we'll see what happens. Like, yeah, if it is him, I bet. But the way it could be is like this is two Kaiser plus this guy equals dinosaur robot run.
Yeah, I do. I do really love the V-Rex idea, but part of me's thinking, why couldn't it be another like Megazord sort of thing? Like, that's the only thing I'm thinking. But considering that it is V-Rex, it is a pretty cool design, and I can't complain.
I bet they turn around and say this is the upgraded version of the other one from because they said in Gokaiger where it was like, oh, your version's like the final version. I reckon they'll go, this is the version 2 of it, and it'll be like
Yeah,
cool. But
I really feel like they could have done something a bit different though, because it seems like a repeat of Golkai Silver's whole gimmick, because obviously he was supposed to represent all three of the Dino teams generally.
yeah,
Azure Ranger, um, obviously the V-Rex in Time Ranger, and then obviously Aber Ranger.
mm,
But this seems to only incorporate two, and one of them's already been represented anyway. So
yeah.
yeah,
I would like to if it was like the red version or basically Terramigo type thing. But I'm guessing because they're going with 6 Ranger forms, So pardon me. I reckon it would be cool if like Kaito had like something from like the Rangers, and obviously then you have 6 mode for two Kaiser, because that would have
yeah.
made a bit more sense. But it's either way, it's a cool addition. The toy looks great. The thing looks fine. I wonder what it's going to be like, and I want to know how they implement it.
Yeah, it
Hope
would be interesting.
hope
Be
Flint
good.
goes, I made this, and I'll be like, yeah, you did, Flint. Yeah, you did.
Right, yeah, I think this was a great reveal. But yeah, let's move on to the actual topic of this particular show. So we're going to be talking about what actually attracted us to Super Sentai. So I like how we've got a condition of light and dark here going on right now, Mark.
Just the
Join the dark side with milk and cookies. No,
yeah.
um.
Well, I've got tea.
Okay, so let's discuss what brought us into enjoying and attracted us to Super Sentai. Now, Mark, what first caught your eye about Super Sentai? How did you get introduced into it?
Well, it was 1993. A show called Mighty. No, I was told about it when I was in college. So that was around about Ninja Storm time. and I was in a lesson, and this one guy who I used to be friends with just came up and was like, "Hey, you're a fan of Power Rangers, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you know there's a thing called Super Sentai or Sentai?" And I was like, "No, what's Sentai?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's basically they're all ninjas, and like every single one's got a faction, and they all hate each other type thing, so they always fight." I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's when I did research on the 46K modem that we had, or the IT computers. And then I did research and found out that there was Super Sentai, very limited information back then. Um,
Yeah.
and then, but what attracted me more, I think I started watching it at university, and I kind of started watching Go Onja. I was like, oh, I
Right.
really, really like that. And then I stopped, and then I found Go Kaija, and I was just like, right, and that was the first Sentai I watched from start to finish.
Sorry, bear with me a moment. You keep going.
So yeah, I started watching it from start to finish because Gokaija, like Blackwing said, is his all-time favorite is Gokaija, and I was just like, do you know what? I love it. I have Gokaija, oh mech, all around me all the time. Um, so yeah, I just kind of liked it. How about you? What attracted you to the Super Sentais?
So I never actually clocked on that it was Super Sentai um was Power Rangers. Like, I always assumed that Power Rangers was just adapted in Japan because it was so damn good there. Um, but it wasn't until that we had that year silence where we had RPM, Disney stopped, they weren't doing anything else anymore, and that transitional year when nothing was happening. Like, it feels weird to sort of think about that now
Mm,
because obviously we've had a season of Power Rangers every time, but there was that one year when I was like, oh my god, is it over? Is it over? I was so worried. And that's when I started looking online, trying to look for any news and stuff, and I started seeing clips of what was Shinkenger at the time.
mm,
So this is before anything was ever announced, and that Saban was going to buy back the brand, and even like Power Ranger Samurai following that afterwards.
yeah.
I just remember looking at this footage and going, "Oh my god, that looks so awesome! I got, please turn that into a Power Rangers. It looks so damn good." And they did, and I was so happy. It was a little bit less samurai-y than I was hoping because Japan had their own aesthetic for that,
Mm.
but for what we did, for what Neo Saban actually did for that particular season was just like that was everything we wanted. That was everything I could have asked for. And it wasn't until, like you said, Go Kaija that I thought, well, actually, I've got to wait because obviously we've got Megaforce going on at the moment, and it's going to be a while before we actually find out what Super Megaforce is going to be like if they do that.
Mm.
But yeah, I just really got interested in finding out what Super Sentai were doing for this particular season, and after that, it just like clicked. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to watch all this now.
So the next question is, when did you start buying the merchandise?
Oh yeah, that's when I think it's because I had some spare funds and I was like, okay, well, I could buy Morphers with this. I've always wanted a Morpher collection, so I'm gonna get them. And I then noticed as I was getting all of these low cost Power Ranger old Morphers that they weren't really accurate to the show,
Mm.
and it was quite infuriating. And then I started looking at videos online and stuff and found out that the Super Sentai toys are actually more accurate to the show. So, in order to get accurate Power Ranger toys, I had to get Super Sentai stuff.
Uh,
Obviously, got more expenses and stuff, and thank God for the Lightning Legacy collection. Um, which is a funny story again because I got the original 1993 Power Morpher
mm,
with the blaster, and that cost me probably about £120, which is roughly $140 probably.
yeah.
Um, and then about 4 months later, that's when they announced the Legacy collection, and suddenly you can have a Power Morpher that was Legacy Power Morpher for only like 40 quid, and I was like,
Uh,
uh
oh, you got you.
yeah, but I just like, I don't regret it because it's a piece of history, and I'm trying to make sure I preserve that history.
Mm,
But at the same time, it's one of those things where if I would have waited a little bit longer and not worried too much about not having the original Morpher, I probably would have been better off for it.
mm,
But from now on, I've always just wanted to collect anything that's Super Sentai rather than Power Rangers. Power Rangers is good at the moment for the toys they're doing because they're lower cost and also they have these gimmicks and stuff that have got really good for playability.
Mm.
However, in terms of accuracy and how they are in the show, they don't even come close. So the only way I can get that sort of thing is by going into buying the stuff from Super Sentai, which is why I've collected all of the Rue Soldier, Morphers, and whatnot, in
Nice.
order to make sure I have the actual keys that are exactly like the show.
Mm.
That's why I don't like Power Rangers in that regard at the moment.
Yeah. So I back at uni, when ABBA Ranger had thing, one of my friends was just like, "Oh, I bought you the morph." He was like, "Oh, what do you want for Chris? What do you want for your birthday?" And I was just like, "Oh, this," and it was the White
Oh,
Ranger morph.
sorry, we just got Blackwing. Sorry, I just noticed Blackwing. First Sentai for me was Dire Ranger, but my all-time favorite Zenkaiger. There we go. Sorry.
Catching up there. I was like, Blackwing
Yeah.
said earlier. Um,
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like Black. Blackwing was said earlier. Sorry,
yeah.
that's my bad. Blackwing. Sorry, dude. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, Mark.
so yeah, so he got me a morph. Then I picked up the Geki Gong changer, and then Go Kaiji came along. I know, I collected some of the stuff from Go Anja, but then Go Kaija happened.
Mm.
Oh God. I'm gonna try and find a picture. I'm gonna send it to you, and I want to see what your reaction is live on stream. Um, so I went through that, and then I kind of stopped, and then I haven't bought anything properly for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And then it,
Yeah, I find that I'm losing more and more money in general to use freely for this sort of thing, and it doesn't help that obviously prices soar after a while. But
oh
thanks to
yeah,
people like Toku Toy Store, it's not as hard as it used to be.
oh no, it's like 10 times easier to find something these days,
Mm.
which I generally really like. Amazon Japan's a thing now. That is a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Sorry, you're sending it through Discord, aren't you?
Well, when I find it, I want to see your reaction, but it's like photos probably lost in time. So,
Yeah.
but
So
we can
what
continue.
actually? Sorry, let's go back on to topic and stuff. What actually keeps drawing you to Super Sentai at the moment, other than Zenkaiger? Was there any specific seasons that made you want to watch it, even if you weren't sure they're going to be great?
I don't know. Like after Go Kaija, I didn't really watch anything until um, I didn't really watch anything until Lupin versus Pataranger because I really like Sentais that are completely outside the box, and that's what I kind of
Mm.
want the most. So that's what attracted me to Go Kaija. I tried to watch Go Buster, and I just couldn't get into it because I didn't at that time. I didn't know what the like silly Sentais because I've always seen them as like, oh, this is a real thing, like this is
Yeah.
a thing. But then when it was just like, oh, and Go Buster, it was just like the Red Ranger's scared of chickens. I was like, right, I'm done. I'm not going to watch this. Um,
I thought that was really good though. That was a very smart design.
uh, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I think I came back to watching it with Lupin versus Pataranger, and I watched it all the way through because I love outside the box Sentai, so that's why Go Kaija really kind of like fit with me. And then
Mm.
I just kind of watched it and see it was like I didn't watch the Space Sentai because I didn't like the Red Ranger. I couldn't watch Kira Major because it was just so silly and I didn't like it. And now I'm watching Zenkaiger because I
Mm.
want to see what happens.
Well, I weirdly think that well, I always say that Tokyo is my favorite season. That's because it's the first season I ever watched start from to finish.
Mm.
Obviously, during all that time, I obviously watched episodes of Zenkai. Sorry, I watched other episodes of different shows. Like, obviously went through Gokaiger, done some episodes of Go Busters, and then kept on going from there. And then once I finally caught up after I've watched Okuja and I caught saw the other seasons, that's when I started proper watching Super Sentai. So I was going through all the seasons. I've watched all the way up to now. So yeah, it's really been one of those things where you sort of just dive into it and you just want to keep watching and
Mm.
watching and watching. But yeah, it's kind of difficult sometimes to watch them because of two reasons. One, if you watch the most recent seasons, you're not going to be surprised by anything that happens in Power Rangers because you're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy gets this power up. We'll find out when he gets it in Power Rangers, and that's it. But then you also got the case where there's the fact that it's all difficult for other stories to come through.
Mm,
Um, and when you see Super Sentai do it so well, and you don't see do Power Rangers really well, you find yourself kind of irritated by Power Rangers because they just haven't captured how good it could possibly be as well as Super Sentai did. Which
mm,
is why I think everyone loves Gokaiger so much because it had such a unique theme, a unique group of characters, unique chemistry, and you see Super Mega Force and you think, why didn't you do it as a separate season? Why are you reusing characters? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why couldn't you be as good as them? And it's hard because it's unfair on the people that are doing the Power Rangers adaptations, but at the same time, it's like making something themeless because it doesn't fit what you want to do for Power Rangers
mm.
is wasted opportunity considering how good Gokaiger was and how much everyone actually loves it. But
See,
one of those
see,
things.
see, that got me because I know Gokaiger was such a big one. I couldn't figure out.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's a fucking lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's only
That's a
part.
huge collection right there.
Oh
Sorry if
wait,
it's too blurry, guys.
hang
But
on.
yeah, that's a
Sorry,
lot of keys.
hang on. Sorry, that's not the one I was looking for. Let me send. So I was like, oh, this is part one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
There's,
hang on.
there's
Wait.
that one. Yeah, this is like what it all happened.
Oh my god, you got a lot of keys, dude. I mean,
I,
it's not exactly MMPR sort of like, sorry, MMPR toys sort of like wall with it all mounted and stuff. I love Bruno and Mia. They really do fantastic stuff.
that
But
was part
like,
one. There is
yeah,
part two.
that is fantastic. Oh
Um,
wow, that's a lot of keys.
there's a lot of keys. I
Yeah,
haven't finished. Yeah, so I think the reason why we got Gokaiger and stuff like that is like I think again it was a very missed opportunity because
yeah,
if it was me, you have 2 years. So I would have done, you would have had 2 years worth of toy sales. Like I always say that you could easily bring out the little things like oh, Spider-Man's got a bike. When the hell did Spider-Man have a bike? He's got a car. He's got a helicopter. These are the things that you could have done with it,
yeah.
and they just completely messed up. For me, I would have gone whole on, full on with it more than anything,
Mm.
and then written something completely different. And I think that it could have been, if it was well written, it could have been the best Power Ranger series. And I don't think anything could top it. But in
No.
the book, they say, we didn't know what to do. And I'm like, really? Give me half an hour and I'll write you an entire synopsis for a series and I'll make it good.
Hell, to go through that, I'll make episodes that were like 10 times better.
Yeah.
Saying that though, people like what's his name? Jason Smith, who I believe was the Red Jungle Fury Ranger.
Mm.
He actually wrote one or two of those episodes, and I think it's so ironic because the one episode that he wrote really well was his own episode he starred in.
I
He done
mean,
fantastically. I've always said it. He done fantastically with this episode. He captured Jungle Fury perfectly, and he made it brilliant for Super Mega Force. However, obviously it's a bit different for the Super Sentai renditions, but when you really look at episodes in general, like singular on their own, there are definitely parts in Power Rangers Super Mega Force that are very close to how good
mm,
it could have been for as it was in Gokaiger. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
yeah.
Okay, so we better move on to episode reviews. So on the first episode we're going to talk about, episode 16, we had the main theme of magnetic attraction, which had a lot of like decent events in it.
Mm,
Two primary ones being the actual magnet attraction and stuff that they had to combat against Magnet World, but then you had Stacy. Um, Actually appearing in front of Yak Chan, and that relationship is trying to like get with her in a way because
mm.
of the fact that he reminds her so much of her mother. Sorry, she reminds him so much of her mother. Sorry, his mother. Jesus, get my words messed up. But yeah, I thought this was a great episode. There was a lot of parts to it. I laughed out loud. My partner was sitting on the sofa, and I just laughed out loud when they're all running away because they're getting all these things randomly attracted
Mm.
to them, and it's worse for the Kikunoids. It builds up over time, and there's loads, even larger stuff are going towards them. But as soon as like they were running, like all four of them, and then suddenly it was
The ship.
Majin who got tired, and then she fell over, and next thing you know, there's a huge vending machine
Yeah.
on. I laughed so hard at that.
I
But
think I think
yeah,
the episode had a lot of it did have comedic value. I've got to admit it wasn't as bad. So when I rewatched it earlier, I was like, I'm sure this was a bad episode, but it was okay. And I generally kind of I think there's I love the Terminator 2 reference that they
yeah,
put in there, which kind of like took me by surprise. I was like, oh damn, that's really freaking cool. I think
mm,
it's basically I think what made me laugh out loud was when you had Gaon and Duran, and they were running towards the bad guy, and you had the ship behind them. But
yeah.
it showed you all the process of them running with the ship, and I started laughing. I was like, this is actually quite funny. Like I don't mind silly episodes, but this was not silly like ha, ha, ha. This was ha 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 silly. So
Yeah.
I kind of really liked it. It was a good episode.
Mm.
And I love the fact that you had not Sechan. Oh, you had the bird. I can't remember his name. What's the bird's name?
Yeah, Sekchan,
Oh,
that's it.
Sechan. I keep thinking they're different. So you had Sechan joining in this one, and I kind of really wanted him to have like a roll call or something. Like I think that would have been really cool just for that one time. Like everyone does their roll calls, and then it just cuts to Kaito's stomach, and Sechan's like, "Hi." You're like, "Yes." So
Yeah. He does remind you so much of the friend they had in Gokaiger though, so
mm,
it's quite funny. But yeah, my favorite parts in this particular episode though have got to be Stacy reacting with others, but then also we had Zox sort of seeing everything, and
mm,
like he caused in effect, like this is kind of how I expected him to act as a Sixth Ranger, the one that notices everything and the one that influences everything at the same time,
mm.
like intersecting here and there, because that's the kind of character he kind of is. Um, but yeah, I think out of everything, seeing the obviously the crocodile and the thrusters coming out of it,
Yeah,
that was quite cool. I do love that ship. I know the bike at the bottom is a little bit off because it's not it's very asymmetrical, so it's not that great. But when you just look at it and the style of it and the lights it has on it and the deco, it's really really nice. I really love it.
mm.
Um, but yeah, any particular moment in this episode that you loved more than, say, the fighting scenes included?
I think I just really like the ship following them. I thought that's actually kind of funny. Again, not like oh like that, but I just generally thought it was funny because they were running about. It was one of those things where they edited it so it perfectly worked with the episode rather than type thing. So, but I think they could have done a little bit better. 'Cause I would have liked Sechan to actually have a bit more of a hey, it's me, or I'm the sixth ranger type thing, even though he's not, and he'd be like, hey, I'm just trying to join in.
Yeah, yeah. I do love how Gegi was involved in this plan because obviously
Mm,
Gegi's always generally seen on King Bakawasi's shoulder, as it were. Even though he's a big wall, can't really
mm.
classify it as a shoulder. It's more like an insert, but let's not get into that. But I like how Gegi, obviously the opposite of Sekcham, is kind of orchestrating his own plans and stuff. But in the end, it's because the other generals were failing so badly that even if he failed, he got the king in such a good mood that it didn't really matter, and
Yeah.
that has a positive effect on the next episode too, which is amazing. It's great.
Mm.
Now, what do you think of the how dynamic that the villains seem to have, including Stacy?
I think the villains in general, like I haven't formed an opinion on them yet because I feel like they've not worked together. Like normally when you see past Sentais, like the bad guys work together to some degree, but these guys just seem to be like a yeah type thing. Um, Stacy seems okay. The only thing now is going to be very interesting to see how he fights with Kaito, because Zox turned around and went, "Oh yeah, by the way, that's her grandson." So is this going to be a thing where they fight constantly, or is this going to be a I'm going to have to stop? With the other bad guys, with the giant bird, I think he's okay. But I feel like even if everything was failing, I reckon that he will still get
Mm.
away with anything. And I think he's got a massive plan because I don't know if it was this episode or the next one. You kind of see it where he's like, ha, 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 I don't care. Bye. And everyone's like, God damn him. God damn
Yeah.
him completely.
I really think that all of these guys are kind of working exactly as I expected because it is kind of a monarchy and they're all fighting for the king's affection in a way. So
Mm,
I think they're maybe working individually, but it's kind of like a family more than it is a sort of team.
mm,
So yeah, there is going to be a lot of infighting and a lot of favoritism in some levels. Because it's like, Gegi's the pet for the king, so there's favoritism there. And then you have Barashatara and Iljarud. He's like, not really his kids, but like, he's part of his So if like say Iljarud was Merlin and you got Barashatara as one of his knights, that's the kind of aesthetic I'm
mm,
getting from them. And Stacy obviously being, well, not, I suppose Shadow generally by his father, he's going with Iljarud because he can then be more involved in stuff, whereas Barrisha Tarara would just let him use him
mm,
as a shield and let him die and then continue on as normal. So
mm,
yeah, but I do think they are either setting up Stacy to either take a heroic leap and become something significant that's part of the part of the Zenkaigers, or they're gonna make him more of like a Deca, like from Power Ranger Samurai or the Shinkenger equivalent, and make him quite human and leading him up to being possibly um, given that position where he suddenly changes and goes over to the good, or he'll just go completely insane, completely go against what he originally thought of Yak Chan and just basically end up getting destroyed for his cruelty or something. That's what
mm.
I can imagine happening.
See,
Do you?
I think what's going to happen, I reckon he'll become a hero. I reckon he will take a shot at Kaito and hit his grandma, which will
Yeah.
then make him go, "Oh my god, what the hell have I done?" He'll then turn around and say, "I'm not going to fight for evil anymore because that's what's brought up." And then he turns around and says, "I'm now going to be good." Either he follows like the Six Rangers, where he
Yeah.
just dies, just literally he'll get sacrificed himself. But I have a feeling that he will join them for a little bit because something will happen to Yak Chan, and that'll be it. I reckon that's going to be the main thing that turns him. Or she comes out screaming again, like, "No, don't do this, please! You're so much better." And that's it.
Yeah, there is one thing I will say though. I'm hope that Iljarud is actually going to make something good with Stacy because I don't know if it's this episode or next episode because obviously we're having that issue where we've gone through it and we've forgotten what parts are in where. But yeah, I obviously have Iljarud come up with a plan that involves Stacy, and I'm hoping that's something that will cause Stacy to become more of a Dark Ranger than he currently is, because
Mm.
it did seem like his mecha was just sort of put out there and scrapped too early. So yeah, I hope there's more to Stay Caesar than what they're currently showing us.
There should be something, but I think we're only 17 episodes in. So I would love if the series finished at episode 25. I
Yeah,
would be generally surprised, but I would not be bothered by it at the same time.
yeah. So in this particular episode, we had. Oh, I need to get back onto it. So we had the actual team. Was it 5-man? Wasn't it?
Five Man was the one that they used. Let me pull up that link so we can both have a look. Well, I can have a look. Because I know I was the one who uploaded the photos. So the debuts, you had, it was 5 Man,
Yes,
I
I thought so.
think.
So, these are actually all teachers, which makes so much sense for the ability that they have, because it's an analysis of the science, which is, I think, which is what the teaching position that 5 Red generally had.
Yeah.
Um, so, what do you think of the analytic power or like knowledge that they seem to have in for the as the representation of this particular Ranger gear?
I wondered because I watched it without subtitles to begin with, and I was like, why? What is the power? But I feel like I feel like it's just a useless power. Like
I
I
wouldn't say
can
that. I mean, it's not a good power for toy representation, that's for certain. It is a good representation of this particular team. But sorry, continue.
I don't know. I just think it's generally when you for an anniversary season, and I know like we look at like say Gokaiger and other ones that have had it. It just feels like this was a cop out. Like we have to quickly put a gear in. We have to use it because
Mm,
that's what we're about. I would rather that they didn't use these sorts of things and then made up in the next episode. We're like, okay, well we have one a week. Let's put two in this time. I just felt like this was oh yeah, we can use heat, and everyone's like, oh my god, Kaito's so smart. It just felt like, I would rather they do something different. It's very hard to say
yeah.
what I want to say. I just think that it's just a cop out.
Yeah, I
Like
do. It did seem like I mean, it didn't. I mean, at the same time, I don't know if he actually did. It was able to do that, but it did seem like Juran and Gowon were able to use fire attacks because of the effects of the five-man gear.
it, no, because Duran turns around and says, "I forgot I could do this," and I'm like, really? Um, like if that was a thing where like say two of the rangers jumped into guy and thing and they were like, oh hang on a minute, I do have fire attack, wait, if I combine it with my thing I can use this. I feel like that would be a bit more, rather than Kaiser go, well, if we use heat on a magnet on the top of his head, that's how we can do it. Yeah, genius. I just felt like it was, again, I think it was just, let's put something in here.
Yeah,
um
I agree. It could have been a bit better. I mean,
yeah.
um, even if there was some kind of effect that happened around them, and then they suddenly had the ability to use fire attacks to
Mm.
combat it, that would have been a lot better. Um, but yeah, I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity to do something really cool. But maybe low budget, maybe that's the reason. Maybe they're saving it for something else. But yeah,
I hope they are. Like, really.
yeah, I think the Megazord battle was, sorry, the Mecha battle was generally nothing special, was it? The Robo battle. I mean, it was involving all four of them uncombined and then doing a cool slash attack, like a quadruple slash, pretty much.
Mm. I generally like that. I felt like that was it. Like, see, this is the thing. Like, this is what they could have done is if the gear, if five men and one that jumped into them, and then they were like, oh, actually, hang on, this that negative thing attacks. Let's use that. That would have been perfect.
Yeah,
That I would have gone. Do you know what? That's using the power. But I generally thought it was kind of a useful thing that they figured out really quickly. Like, oh well, basically we're negatively charged, so basically you'll just repel off me. And it's like, yes,
yeah,
that's what I want to see.
yeah. Right, let's do a episode. Oh, one more mention before we get into that. Actually,
Mm,
I do like how the gear was the sort of like metallic power was. Sorry, magnetic powers were used to repel
mm,
as well as bring in. So obviously we had um, Twokai-Oh, Oran trying to appear, but then boom, they're gone.
yeah.
That's enough for you two guys. Okay, so let's do the episode rating, my dudes. Okay, so what would we give this episode?
Three,
Yeah, three. Yeah,
three,
three. I'll agree with that. Oh, actually, I might switch that around so it's like, oh no, wrong one. There we go. Three.
three,
Yeah,
three.
that's I
Terminator
honest.
reference was good.
Yeah. So what is the reason for you giving it a three, Mark?
I don't know. Like I generally when I watched the episode, I was like, this could be higher, but I think it's just it's not utilizing everything
Mm.
that the series, like the series could be so much better. And I'm not gonna entertain the whole COVID thing because literally like it's in the writing. I think it could be better.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it. Like I just want more to it. I don't want the same sort of thing. But I did like the Terminator reference. I think that's what's saving it. What might have been a four, but no, it's definitely a three.
yeah. I agree with that. There's nothing really outstanding about this particular episode. It was great use of effects and good, well, not even effects, like good storytelling in a way, setting up stuff. But it's one of those episodes where it's made to lead up to something, so it's
Mm.
not an episode that stands on its own. So yeah, I think three is a good rating for this particular episode. So yeah, okay. So moving on to the next one. If I get rid of all these first.
Uh,
Okay. Let's talk about episode 17. Now, this episode I thought was going to be like a spooky episode. I honestly thought this was going to be like a weird early or late Halloween episode or something.
Yeah,
But
but it wasn't.
yeah, but it wasn't at all. It was all generally about just things that you cannot see. That's pretty much the premise of it.
Invisibility. It was
Yes.
just, let's just use invisibility.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was a really good use of power. Like every single power that we've seen for like 17 episodes have been really good. Like they're
Yeah, yeah, they have.
it's just not done. But I generally felt bad for Flint when she fell over, and I was like, "Oh, help her up, someone."
Yeah, I do think it was good. So it all generally began with Majin trying to hang out with other, well, not really kids her age, because I don't think she's that young, but she's still trying to play with them. Which sounds weird, but she is
Yeah.
still kind of like she's probably just like a young teen, like she's not exactly exited out of her childhood yet. So, she's obviously trying to enjoy the ghost stories and stuff that the kids are telling and trying to get involved in it and trying to become like paranormal investigators in a way.
Mm.
But yeah, it's interesting how this is occurring, and at the same time we have Invisible World making his appearance and literally making things invisible, which is causing a hell load of chaos and people running
Mm.
into things, and yeah, that's going to lead to a lot of ouch.
Yeah.
Now, anything specific stand out in this episode to you, Mark?
Like I'm trying to think. I like the fact that like if Flint's going to be a ranger, they're teasing it now. You know, she did the same morph dance as Zox,
Yeah,
and
that
it
was fun.
wasn't. Yeah, I was like, oh damn it, and like I can see her becoming a ranger at some point. And I think mainly it's how Majin got annoyed. I think I like the
Yeah,
fact
that
that
was
it's
so
been,
funny.
yeah. I like Jiren being invisible, and I think the thing when he gets knocked into the river, like it's like the pond. I thought was actually that made me
Yeah,
chuckle a bit. I was like, that's quite funny. Um, yeah, and just the whole thing. Imagine got a different morph sequence
yeah.
rather than like the others. But I will give them credit and something great. They had during morph and they just
It
left
had
it
the
blank.
the effects of having there. That was funny. Pretty
Yeah,
easy to do, and yeah, generally a good idea to have.
yeah. I generally thought the reason why they didn't do it separately is because they were like, Toya was like, damn it, some kid's going to download this and he's going to edit himself into this and make it look great. We have to make it look bad. You know, I was like, John, that's quite cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good episode. It made me laugh and it just had more Flint. I demand more Flint in the next episode.
Well, you get Imagine and Flint. Should they? It's your dream episode.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, the next episode's going to, yes, that is what I want.
Yeah, I think my two favorite parts in this particular episode are when the Invisible World gave away what he actually is to Zox, because he's like, "Oh, you're Invisible World," because they have this what can only be described as a kind of tick
Mm,
of saying putting their actual name of their world into what they're saying. Just walk around boxing world, like boxing,
yeah.
just say it out of nowhere. But yeah, I think it's funny how it's like you never guess what invisible I am, and he's like, "Oh, you're invisible world." He went invisible crap.
Yeah. Like, see, I think that this is like, I think they're loosening up a tiny bit and they're actually making okay episodes. I don't know what I want more. I think
Yeah.
I haven't come to that conclusion.
Oh,
But
sorry, we just had a chat from Richard. He said, "I demand more Robo Night Go
no,
Kaija."
you can have all of it, Richard. Richard, you can have all
You know what? I was just thinking actually. That is actually brought out a good point, as what we were saying earlier to the latest introduction for
of it.
Zenkaiger, because I would have thought that having SD like people like they are with Katana and Ricky,
Mm,
that is a perfect opportunity to represent Gokaiger more than it is to represent um, Time Ranger and Ranger. So now you've said that, I really wish they actually done something with Goseiger. They could
mm,
have easily done that particular thing that Two Kaiser becomes into a Robo Knight, or shall we say a Gosei Knight version for this figure. Like they could have easily done an SD Lionhead. That would have been so much cooler, don't you think?
Maybe, yeah, I would like maybe the whole thing of he looks like Gosei Knight. More, it's more that they've gone for. Because let me look back at that photo. Let me go back
Right.
because
So
I kept thinking
yeah,
carnival mode.
yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, it is kind of like that, really. But the SD form of him does kind of look like that.
it looks more like a Gosei Knight thing, so
Yes.
maybe that's what they've gone for rather than carnival mode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that.
Sorry, let's get back to the episode. So, yeah, the invisible stuff, and then the other thing that I thought was funny was just how Majin sort of changed her personality. So first she was
Mm.
like, "It's okay, we can play later. I'm gonna kill those guys."
It's because if you turn around and say anything bad about like the supernatural, paranormal, she gets
Yeah,
absolutely crazy about it,
yeah,
and I kind of like that passion. Like, but I felt like they could have put it in so she took down the guy personally rather than don't, because I think that's the sort of drive. Um, but I've got to admit, her fight scene with using the nails and stuff like that, that would
yeah.
be that's kind of interesting.
It was a bit. That was very dark as well. It was quite funny.
It was
Just
weird, but
nails, 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 nails.
that
But
won't get adapted into Power Rangers.
I don't know. I quite like that. I think that could easily be adapted.
Health
But
and
I do
safety, health
like,
and safety.
yeah, I do like how they had that magic, and they were actually kind of highlighting how being a Gokaiger has kind of messed up their
Mm,
childhood a bit, because Majin does want to have that fun and stuff, but she finds that she needs to stop obviously the army that Bakaros and stuff is trying to sort out, all of that Toja Tendo problems that they seem to be giving, and
mm.
Imagine is just like, why do I have to deal with this now? Which is pretty much what every ranger has always said, like, why does
Yeah,
it have to be today?
yeah,
But yeah, no, I think this episode was really great. It had those particular fun elements to them. There was some good combat involved. Imagine had some awesome magic involved. And the powers that that particular world had was really, really good too.
mm.
Anything like to add to it, Mark?
I think that was it. Like there were key parts where it did, and like I liked some of it, but again, I think it was more of a filler episode. I feel like most of these are filler episodes at the moment until
Oh,
they get to the big arc.
yeah. Sorry, we just said we need something done with Q Ranger. Not enough love for Q Ranger. That's a good point. Q Ranger was actually quite unique, wasn't it?
Yeah, we still have like 30 odd episodes to go though.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Sorry, was anything else?
That's it. No, I
Okay, sorry,
reckon
mate.
I reckon they will do stuff with Q Ranger.
Yeah,
There's a lot of seasons they've got to go through, but then also you've got the films coming up.
yeah.
We got one big film coming. Then there's got to be the 55-minute odd film, which will be Zenkaiger's. Then there's got to be the team up with the next one. Then there's so much. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Let's move on to the actual gear that's used. So we got Sun Vulcan. What did you think of the representation of power in that
Again, it was just let's just boot a ball.
one?
That was it.
It was
Um,
a nice special attack though. Like it was a good little thing from Sun Vulcan. I feel like it would have been better if Sun Vulcan was used as like a revealing power, because
yeah.
I mean I don't know much about Sun Vulcan, but I'm just thinking sun illumination stopping things being invisible. That's the top of my
Mm.
head. Like it could have been anything really, couldn't it though?
Yeah, to be fair, it was just let's just jump in front of a giant sun. Let's do it, boys. We've done it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Um, so again, I wasn't kind of super impressed, but
Mm.
it was a better than the last one. Let's just say that.
Yeah. You know what I find really curious about Sun Vulcan?
Mm,
They're each representing a different animal, like in the sky, in the sea, and on the earth, and yet it doesn't seem that their animal motif, or even the fact that they're earth, land, and sea based, sorry, sky,
yeah,
land, and sea based actually affects anything to do with their powers. It's a really
yeah,
weird Sentai compared to not only back then, but what we've got now. Like
oh, yeah,
it's like what happens if if nothing was focused upon on Hurricane or perhaps even you know Goseiger, because they had those themes that are kind of similar to Sun Vulcan, but they actually highlight them. They actually have
Mm.
powers based on them. It doesn't seem like Sun Vulcan has that, especially including their particular robo, because their mecha was very basic back then. So they didn't even have an eagle, a shark, or a panther mecha. Or like a Zord.
Yeah,
It was just a
there.
basic robo, as you would imagine. Very
Yeah.
curious,
Well,
very
it,
confusing.
you see it more when they go against Nike. That's
Yeah,
it. So when they go against the evil counterparts,
yeah.
Nike can. That's the one.
Right, right,
Damn
right.
it! There's nothing called Nike can out there. It's not. I just made it up.
Okay, well, let's go on to the episode review of this particular episode, because I think it generally didn't have anything different. It was cool to see, um, obviously, Twokai-Oh Oran finally used after the last episode didn't really use it, so it was kind of nice to have that, and the finishing attack was really cool too.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else outstanding, or what
No,
rating would you give this?
I would give it a 3 as well.
Yeah.
Um, like it was nice to see that they added some more comedy to it. It
Mm,
was nice that it's moving on, but again, it's still there hasn't been anything to impress.
no.
Like if they did something like tease that it was like what was it Vox turns around and says, oh, soon you can do this properly, and Flint's like, yeah, and then she did the dance, but that's it. Apart from her doing the dance, that's the only good thing about the episode.
Yeah. Plus, also, it's quite funny how different people are getting invisible, like Juran and then Flint and the others.
Mm,
But yeah, I do like how the bad guys are getting set up though, so that's why this is a good 3 star for me, because it does seem like they're going to be leading to something with Iljarud and whatever Geggy and stuff are planning. So, I mean,
yeah.
Stacy's still got that issue where he's like, what am I going to do with all this? I also like how Geggy has previously said in these last 2 episodes that it's good that he's taking action, because then he gets the king in a better mood, so that no matter what happens, the guys don't get punished as badly.
Mm,
Like even the tap-in was quite obvious in the beginning of this episode, because he was just getting frustrated and didn't, and it just sort of calmed him down. So yeah,
mm,
I think it's gonna lead to something, but once again, this isn't an episode that stands out on its own.
yeah.
Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything, guys. So thank you so much, Mark. Thank you
No
so much,
problem.
guys. So where can we find you on social media, Mark?
Everything LM bar Twitter, which is mainstream live. How about you, kind sir?
And you can always find me on Attention Asset on Twitter and Instagram. So until then, we'll go through another episode next week. Hopefully, this is going to be something juicy and with
It's not going
decent
to be.
good
It's
character
not.
development as
No,
well.
it's not going to be. It's going to be another three gear that we're going to give it.
Yeah,
Guarantee it now.
yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Okay, well, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time, and until then, goodbye.
Bye.